11 wins out of 15 rounds, and then even 11 wins and some, right? Either that 12th win or maybe some draws here. It's just, it is not easy, and it is just, these two players are just so great, have accomplished so much, and are trying to get that last little bit here. So we discussed the decks. You know, we got that kind of two, I would say, non-standard, but not unknown decks by any means. What deck do you think just has the advantage here? Just, you know, just based on the deck list, based on the matchup.
Well, Piper's deck is playing for double turbo energy, which could be a big deal, trying to just get the turn 2 Trinity Nova to apply pressure. We've seen, as I was walking around, there is a way to approach this matchup where you just don't play special energies down, but it feels so poor. So a lot of this comes down to what are the access of Beedrill. Very tough prizes here for Isaiah, though.
Yep. 2
Sobble and a copy of the Beedrill. Not having access to that Galarian Moltres usually could be a pretty big deal, but Galarian Moltres is weak to grass, and that could be a big deal when Beedrill has the ability to deal 220 damage with that second attack, which is enough to knock out a Galarian Moltres.
Yeah, those prizes not very favorable for Isaiah here. If you've been tuning in to our stream, you've seen kind of the reliance on the early game Sobbles into that Intellion engine. There's the handshake, and we are seeing the Sobble, the third Sobble, one of 2 only in the deck, is active for Isaiah. Looks like Piper is going to go first. She's starting Arceus V, and Ultra Ball is the immediate play, discarding Birdkeeper and Pumpkaboo.
Yeah, looks like there are no energy in his hand, so most likely a Crobat going to be grabbed to try to grab an energy out of the deck, or rather draw into an energy to get this Arceus powered up. Needs to find a way to put on pressure. You're going first in an Arceus mirror match. This is a big key importance. Turn 2 Trinity Nova. It's going to be easy with the V-Star power. I mean, what can you say else about Starbirth? One of the best V-Star powers we have currently. Any 2 cards out of the deck. However, with this deck list that Piper's playing, there is no way to get off an attack the second turn of the game if you miss an attachment on the first turn. No copies of Energy Switch or something else like a Raihan even in this deck. So really just opting to play more disruptive cards, even opting to play Piers as a supporter of choice.
Yes, we see that Hoopa V hit the bench, that Big Charm get attached, and now we are seeing that Crobat that was found off the Ultra Ball. Dark Asset back up to 6 cards here. Now we're seeing that Quick Ball discard an Ultra Ball, so I didn't quite see if there were energy in the hand there for Piper. We can take another look. Looks like Arceus V is being found off of the Quick Ball, so doing her best to kind of set up her board here. Maybe absent in energy, which would be an unfortunate occurrence on turn 1.
Even getting down at Darkness Energy is very important. You can just take the turn to, instead of dealing some damage, to activate stuff like Raihan, just use the Trinity Charge on the Arceus V to power up and flood your board with Darkness Energy, so you just avoid playing into that persisting attack on Beedrill for the rest of the game. But a big-time miss opens the door up to Isaiah. Has things to start off. His hand's also not looking too good. Maybe has a Marnie. I don't see a single strike Mustard in there as well. So maybe having the... I think we actually have the cards here in deck to get this turn 1 Mustard. I think there is a Pal Pad, a Grass Energy, some other cards as well. We could be seeing it. There is still one in the deck, so this is possible here for Isaiah.
All right, so we do see that Ultra Ball discard 2 supporters in the Marnie and Boss's orders, and Isaiah's going to take a minute to search through his deck, of course, determine what is prize. He's going to soon find out that those 2 Sobbles are in the prize card. Looks like Arceus V is going to be the card selected for Isaiah here.
Yeah, looks like just confirming with the judges what is happening. Everyone's staying on the same pace of the game and on the same page is very important, especially when these players are having their headphones on and staying important in the knowledge of the game. There's the Arceus V getting grabbed off of the Ultra Ball, has the energy attachment. It looks like there's a Scoop Up Net and a Pal Pad in the hand, so we could be seeing the turn 1 Beedrill. There's the Pal Pad shuffling the cards back in, the energy attachment, the Scoop Up Net, and the last card in hand, that single strike Mustard. We're seeing it, Kenny, the turn 1 Beedrill. It feels like Archie's Ace of the Hole's coming out turn 1, 2015 Worlds Finals.
Yeah, here is the Beedrill coming from the deck. This is, again, we've talked about this deck all weekend. Some of the best players in the world have decided to play this deck. You don't see that single strike Mustard all of the time, but when you do, you have to have an empty hand. Find any single strike Pokemon, but in this case, the Beedrill from your deck, put it right on the bench, and then if that's not enough, draw 5 fresh cards.
Absolutely. Also gets the energy attachment onto that Arceus. It's not going to be facing any real danger coming into this turn, but now that Beedrill is just an imminent threat on the board. Also going to fill the hands up, too, after such a powerful effect of putting any single strike Pokemon. Doesn't have to be a basic, doesn't have to be a stage 1. can be any stage. It can just be a stage 2, and this is why it's great to not have to worry about playing rare candies and multiple evolution lines and having to allot cards to get into play. You can just get this into play. You're just using it for this attack. Energy search as well to get energies out of the deck. This is looking like an excellent turn here for Isaiah to kick things off, especially with Piper's unfortunate slow start.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see that energy search find the grass energy here. Of course, that energy for the turn has been committed to that Arceus. But yeah, now just having kind of having the Beedrill just on the board when, as you said, Piper has that slow start and is probably going to be relying on a double turbo energy at some point in the game. It's just such a rough position to be in. There is the Arceus V-Star, and we're going to immediately see that V-Star marker flipped over. Starbird getting activated here. And we'll have to see what Piper decides to take. Consulting the hand, just kind of making sure the right decision is being made there. It looks like we do have that Pierce pulled to the front of the deck.
Yeah, Pierce is an excellent supporter card. He can grab any energy card out of the deck and a darkness-type Pokemon, eyeing up a Malamar potentially. All Piper's really looking for is to start to get some energies into play. This is one of the more strangely built Arceus lists that we've been seeing at the top of the tables. A lot of these Arceus lists are either running stuff like the Inteleon line to find the pieces, or Bibarel to draw your cards with Industrious and Scissors. This deck is not playing any of those support Pokemon, instead just going for the Crobat. But here we go. The double turbo energy getting committed is a bit risky, but combining that with Path to the Peak can definitely slow Isaiah down when there's only one Stadium card in that one copy of Training Court in the deck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or two, excuse me. Sorry, 2 Training Court.
Do see that Path of the Peak hit the board, and then we are seeing that energy get spread around. Looks like 2 on the Malamar V and 1 on the Arceus V-Star on the bench. So again, we are seeing a little bit different of a take on this Arceus V deck with 2 energies committed to that Malamar.
Absolutely. Things starting off here for Isaiah. Do we see the ability to get maybe a Triss into play, to find a counter stadium in combination with a Arceus V-Star to get the ball rolling? It's crazy to see Beedrill come out turn 1, no Arceus V-Star power, still has access to that at some point. We're actually going to see the water energy get committed, so this is actually going to signal a very weak hand here for Isaiah.
Wow.
Has to just attach and utilize Trinity Charge to get energies into play, but what do you even throw them on? Your Arceus is potentially threatened with something like a Choice Belt to be knocked out. I'm looking to see if that is in the list. It looks like opting to not play any damage modifiers, so you can safely at least get another energy into play, but your Arceus is going to be taking the first hit, and that's what really matters in this mirror match.
Wow, yeah, the 5 cards off of the mustard there, just not really providing a lot for Isaiah. Now we do see the turn get passed back to Piper. There's that Malamar VMAX. There's that Professor's Research. 7 fresh cards. Isaiah going to consult the discard pile here. And wow, just a really, really rough hand, really rough turn for Isaiah. Not at all what you want to see.
Wow, finds the switch and the darkness energy. So that means this Malamar can potentially start attacking this turn with the max Jammer attack to start disrupting. Could also go ahead and try to apply some more pressure with the Arceus V-Star. Has the Evolution Incense to grab that. Smart play there.
Evolution Incense does find the Arceus V-Star. Of course, the V-Star power Starbirth has already been used, so not going to see any more deck searches in that way, but we do have now the double Arceus V-Star getting set up as an attacker here. We do see that 3rd energy get committed to that Malamar VMAX. We're going to see the retreat, and here comes the Malamar.
Max Jammer, what a disruptive attack, 180 damage. Isaiah is going to give Piper some hand knowledge as well, forces the hand to be revealed and can pick any card out. And
wow.
Oh, it's like we got doubles.
Yeah, going to go ahead and take the Training Court. What is the top deck for Isaiah? Could mean a lot.
It looks like I thought I saw maybe a Quick Ball potentially. I'm trying to see. A lot of these cards have a bluish background, so it's hard to really determine what is there, but nothing that would get thrown down right away like an Evolution Incense to grab some pieces, as it is the Quick Ball off the top, so can maybe grab another Arceus out of the deck, but if you don't play that now, it's just going to get put to the bottom of your deck. You have to just go ahead and play it, so we are going to see it get played, but at the same time, you're shuffling your deck back. Your opponent just put a non-playable card to the bottom of your deck, so it's sort of that give or take and do that. So I have to imagine that's what Isaiah was considering with such a weak hand.
Yeah, definitely not what Isaiah wanted to see these last turn and this turn now. Pretty disappointing turn of events here. You do have the other Arceus now on the bench, which, you know, a little bit of a backup attacker. You can even attach some energy to it, kind of get it built up a little bit. Looks like we're going to see the Training Court activation, find the grass energy, attach to the Beedrill.
Yep, so it looks like 130 damage to this Malamar. Malamar is weak to grass, though, as we, I don't think we've got to mention that yet. It is a grass-weak Pokemon, so this Beedrill is lined up to take a knockout, but it feels pretty poor when you're using that Jet Spear attack instead of the other options. And actually going to go ahead and play a Marnie here and bail Isaiah out of his hand. It's not necessarily a bail, though, because you do get to choose another card off of Max Jammer to put back in, but if Isaiah has 2 outs off this hand, this could be a big deal. Piper drawn into 5 cards off this Marnie, does find another Path to the Peak, and importantly, because this Training Court is in play, we can see a Starbirth this turn, followed by a Path to the Peak, so that the Starbirth is used, especially if the Stadium sticks, because Isaiah only has 1 more out to bump Path to the Peak. 2 Stadiums for each player, though, means that since Path came down first, the Stadium War will be won by Isaiah.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like we're going to go ahead and find there was another Malamar for Piper there. And we're just going to, I think the rest of this game is just going to depend on how good Isaiah's hand is here. Here is the Path of the Peak, the Training Court, now in the discard pile. Let's see, let's take a look. Did he have 2 outs?
Yes, wow.
Okay, so he does have the Professor's Research, Drizzle, Boss's Orders, and Capture Energy. So actually a pretty good Marnie hand here. Research hitting the bottom of the deck, and now Isaiah can kind of is kind of on the back foot here. But now, honestly, this Beedrill versus this Malamar, Drizzile activation possible, and Isaiah is kind of back into this game.
Absolutely. It looks like we are going to see the Beedrill get promoted into the active spot. Is dealing enough with that Jet Spear attack to take a knockout. Not something we get to see too often.
No.
But Drizzile, shitty dealings, and it looks like eyeing up to get potentially another Mustard, but as we do know, that Beedrill, I believe, is still in the prize cards, the second Beedrill, so we'll not have access to that card.
Looks like we're seeing the shady dealings here with the Drizzile. And this is really, we talked a lot about how difficult shady dealings can be. A lot of the times you just kind of, you're wanting to kind of one certain thing here and you just slam it and take it. But I think in a position like this where Isaiah is on the back foot but not out of the game by any means, you have to be really, really careful. Search through your deck, find exactly the card that you want, and kind of think about, okay, what am I going to use this card for? How are the next couple of turns going to play out? We see Isaiah considering going for the Ultra Ball there, and now considering going for the Professor's Research. Taking a look at his hand, again, just a really tough decision. Actually finds the Marnie, it looks like. Hasn't fully decided yet, but yeah, now the shuffle has happened. Looks like it's going to be the Marnie there, and we're going to see the Capture Energy get attached as well.
Yeah, this is great. Can find another Arceus out of the deck, get that into play for later on in the game. Again, it feels pretty poor when you're using Beedrill to not take a one-hit knockout. You're sort of just finishing off a Pokemon that already has a good amount of damage on it, but you got to take knockouts. You have to take prizes. You have to advance the game. Not playing any comeback mechanic cards, so you can't really play as passively in this deck, but Marnie's a good way to send some disruption. Piper's going to get 4 cards off the Marnie. Just looking to see what the hand's got. Looks like 4 item cards with not a lot of usage. Does have that Fan of Waves, though, and that can be very crucial at setting this Arceus V back for the following turn.
Looks like we're going to see Isaiah's 5 cards here. Isaiah just kind of thinking a little bit. Looks like a Big Charm can be attached to the Arceus on the bench now. Just really, you can tell Isaiah just kind of really thinking through, okay, how do I set up to win here? What do I exactly need to do?
Yeah.
And there is the Jet Spear and the Knockout. It's 3 prizes for Isaiah, and that is the second Beedrill now found off the prizes as well.
Yeah, Beedrill and Sobble off the prizes, a big deal. Looking to see what that top deck was. See the Big Charm on the Arceus. It looks like there's not much going for this hand, so this again makes me wonder, no usage of Starbirth when that was available the previous turn before Path to the Peak came back down into play. And this could open up a big opportunity for Isaiah to progress the board state. But at the same time, I do believe the Fan of Waves in hand for Piper, that could be another way to set Isaiah back. But you really want to be combining that with more pressure, more aggression, and a knockout. So this could come back to bite Piper for sure.
Yeah, Piper actually used her Starbirth on the second turn. So
my mistake. But yeah, just has to pass things over. Wow.
Wow. But well, back to Isaiah as I say that we're going to see the second Big Charm on the Arceus V on the bench now. Really not working with a lot from Piper here. So Isaiah's going to Ultra Ball, considering what to discard here, seeing if maybe even that Mustard can come out. Again, it looks like we have Ultra Balling away some of the prize cards here with the Beedrill, or the cards that were prized rather, Beedrill and Sobble.
Yeah,
Looks like eyeing up a Drizzile, perhaps.
Yeah, it looks like maybe trying to find a
Inteleon.
Drizzile to get an Ordinary Rod out, maybe with that Inteleon to try to put together another Beedrill turn. The Single Strike Mustard is already in hand. Looks like, yeah, can actually, I think, potentially get there with an Inteleon. Looks like just eyeing up, bumping the path again, as is going to go ahead and grab the Inteleon. So Shady Dealings, grabbing any 2 trainer cards out of the deck. Have to imagine you maybe want to get another Beedrill into play, but that would require the Ordinary Rod to now shuffle that Beedrill back into the deck.
Yeah, it looks like Isaiah is really kind of considering his options here. You see counting a lot of, okay, exactly what do I want to get here? What's in my hand? How can I empty my hand in the right way? It looks like the final decision, oh, I take it back, but not final decision. Looks like we're going to go ahead and Ultra Ball and Training Court here are the picks. Training Court, of course, is going to be able to bump that path to the peak.
Yeah, and this also works as well. Ultra Ball can find the Drizzile, and the Drizzile can utilize the Shady Dealings to grab the Ordinary Rod to bring things back. So I think just establishing, trying to get these Inteleon lines out quicker by going for this route is probably the line of play. There's the Training Court. There's the Ordinary Rod. We see the Ordinary Rod can shuffle back in the energies, and I think because there are 2 cards left, we'll see the Training Court get used to pitch to fulfill the discard requirement of Quick Ball. Single Strike Mustard can do this. So there we go. Training Court, Quick Ball, 2 Single Strike Mustards within just a couple of turns.
Yep, so the Quick Ball is going to fail, and the Mustard is going to be put into play. This is very reminiscent of Archie's Ace in the Hole back in Worlds 2015. Just, okay, Ultra Ball, how can I discard my cards right? And Isaiah did figure it out there. The Beedrill does come into play, and we're going to see a fresh 5 cards as well for Isaiah. It takes a lot of work to make the Mustard active, but you get rewarded with a Stage 2 Pokemon that has a 1 energy attack that can knock out anything theoretically. And now that path to the peak is gone, and Isaiah is going to activate his own Starbirth ability. So wow, Isaiah just really firing on all cylinders here.
Able to grab the double turbo energy and a way to get out of the active with that air balloon. And this is going to be big damage onto the Arceus. No way to heal besides the just checking through the list one more time. Yeah, no other ways besides the Hyper Potion. We haven't gotten to talk about this yet. There are Hyper Potions. I know Piper running 2 copies of Hyper Potion in this deck, but does start things off. Maybe a draw off the top, does have access to abilities now, but only running that 1 copy of Crobat, does still have access to Lumineon V with that Luminous Side ability to go ahead and grab a supporter card. But it looks like we'll actually just see the boss's orders bring up this Inteleon, which makes me think that this hand is not as strong and actually just going to go ahead and utilize Isaiah's Training Court to get the energy attachment onto the other Arceus. And we're going to see the switch just to, looks like, buy some time with this Crobat. No, actually the Hoopa looks like.
And well, just a pass of the turn, the switch and the boss's orders just to really stall there. Isaiah starts his turn, immediately attaches the grass energy to the now active Inteleon. And it doesn't look like Isaiah has a way to pivot or anything. Is that a Quick Ball, boss's order, just considering, okay, do I want a boss back? I do. Here we go. There's the retreat. I'm going to bring up the Arceus V-Star, and that's going to actually be the game there. Piper decides to scoop it up, and yeah, I mean, you see that energy just immediately get attached to that Inteleon, and then Isaiah hesitates for a minute on the boss, and then goes, oh yeah, I think I'll take a knockout there.
So sort of after a very weird and wonky start for Isaiah in that game 1, finds a way to claw back, get into that game, get both Beedrill out with Single Strike Mustard, close things out. Good on Piper, though. Scooped up that game fairly early. Could have gone maybe another turn or 2. Understands, I'm not winning this game. There's no feasible route for me to make this happen. I want to save time. 18-minute game 1. If we do that twice more, we're getting close to being able to finish out a series. But that is only if Piper can force a game 3. Isaiah looked very dominant in the latter half of that game number 1.
Yeah, one of the things that's really important if you are a new player or even just a new player to the kind of in real life live event tournament scene, if you're planning to go to a regional or any other live tournament anytime soon, it's really important to consider that time factor. I know it's really not something that matters too much online. Definitely when you're just kind of playing with your friend, playtesting, or at League, it doesn't really come up. But time is absolutely one of the most important skills to learn about tournament Pokemon play. And if you can, watch this stream, see what a lot of the players concede, even when they're not, they haven't actually lost the game, but they're just doing it for the sake of time and for the sake of, just kind of how the tournament structure and how the rounds work. One of the most important skills to learn, and it looks like these players are off. Speaking of time, they're starting very quickly, taking a look at the prizes there. We have the 1-1 Malamar line and both Beedrills, it looks like, at the top of the prizes for Isaiah.
That is huge, having access to no Beedrill during this game. Isaiah's going to have a very rough time with this deck search, but this is exactly what you want to see here, Piper. Has the Turn 1 energy. That was the big miss in game number 1 that made quite a big deal. Has Ultra Ball as well, going to get rid of another Ultra Ball and the Darkness energy. Have to assume Malamar V is going to come down. Malamar V Max is the crucial secondary attacker in this deck, but it all revolves around Arceus V-Star.
I mean, speaking of things that, what the deck revolves around, the Beedrills are prized at the top of the prizes. Isaiah's not going to have access to them. How much does that have to change his strategy, like his matchup here? We saw that Beedrill do a lot of work, last game, and it's kind of the whole reason you play this deck.
Absolutely. Looks like that will just be the pass at the turn. Isaiah's got lots of ways to search through, and I'm looking at Isaiah's top corner to see the expression on Isaiah's face when he finds out there are 0 Beedrill in the deck. You see, it looks like they're like, God, seriously? I have none of these cards in my deck? Triple checking now, making sure. Isaiah's a player who is experienced. I'm sure we'll try and find a game plan that makes this work, but when this is the core front in the center of your deck, maybe you even consider, it feels so rash to scoop things up right away, but if the game progresses as Piper would like to in this point, Isaiah really does not want to tie here. Both these players have already drawn twice during this event. An extra draw would put them at essentially a 10-3-ish record at that point, which is not the best if you're really looking to have an easy route to get the top cut.
Yeah, it's really interesting too because some of the other Arceus variants, like some of the kind of more traditional kind of dark toolbox variants, have multiple attacking Pokemon. You have these Galarian Moltres, the Galarian Moltres V. You kind of have some different options, but this Beedrill deck is very just focused on that Beedrill. It's a very kind of narrow, powerful card, and when you just have both of them prized, when you have no access to it, you become just kind of the vanilla Arceus Inteleon deck that's kind of not even not optimized to really play that way. So I'm really interested to see how Isaiah is going to navigate this game, especially if Piper has a great start, if he's on the back foot at all. Looks like we see that Big Charm get attached to the bench Arceus, joined by 2 Sobbles on the bench as well. And now Isaiah just really struggling, debating with this basic energy. Looks like the grass energy is going to go on to the bench Arceus as well, and a pass of the turn back for Piper's turn 2. Let's see what she can put together.
Wow, that was a big top deck.
See the V-Star, that was at the top of the deck as well.
Yeah,
and there's the Starbirth.
Wow, and has double turbo energy already in hand, so could even chase after this Arceus or go for a more disruptive style, maybe find something like the Research, as we see that get fanned to the top of the deck. Has a lot of options. Path to the Peak as well. Great disruptive. It's kind of that battle of, hey, I use my V-Star power. I don't want you to use your V-Star power. I'm good with my abilities for now. I'm going to go and play this Pat down. And there are some more V Pokemon that have abilities in Piper's deck that we see in most Arceus variants. That Crobat, that Luminion. Multiple options on that end of things, but it's a big sacrifice. You're going to be plussing most of the time by playing that path down.
Yeah, that's a great point. A lot of the decks that focus heavily on Path to the Peak, as you see it hit the board right now, are decks that don't really care. Don't use many of their abilities, don't have a lot of Pokemon with abilities, and then or like in the case of a lot of the Arceus decks, just want to use that Starbirth first and then play the path. But you are absolutely right that it is not as free, for lack of a better word, as it is in a lot of these other Arceus decks, as we just see that Arceus V hit the board and the Trinity Nova for 180 damage, spreading the energy around as we saw, the same as last game, 2 on the Malamar, 1 on the other Arceus, just kind of saying, I'm focusing, this is a Malamar Arceus deck, I am focusing on that for these early turns, and showing that with the double attachment we see back on Isaiah's turn now, an Evolution Incense.
We'll have access to, looks like the Drizzile will be prime target. Could also go after the Arceus, but I have to imagine with no way. Actually, he does have a level ball, it seems, in hand, so can grab the Arceus V-Star and then maybe level ball for the stadium. I believe does not have access to only the beat drills and the prizes, so does have access to the last training court. That would be very, very unfortunate if these are prizes. They're already tough prizes on their own in combination. So we are going to see the evolution in sense. Isaiah just really thinking through, what do I need here? What do I really prioritize in this scenario? It looks like eyeing up potentially the Arceus V-Star is going to go ahead and grab that. We are going to see the potential Starbirth be used, but cannot use that until that stadium is removed. Drizzle would be perfect at finding that training court out of the deck, but instead actually just going to go ahead and grab the Marnie and say, I necessarily don't need to Starbirth this turn. I don't think I have the key pieces to get out of the situation I'm in. I'm just going to go Marnie, understand that this Arceus V most likely will get knocked out the following turn, and I'm just going to try to adjust my game plan from there.
We do see shuffle off of the search, then the Marnie, 5 fresh cards for Isaiah, 4 for Piper. Let's see what Isaiah can put together here. I think the dream would be to find the training court here, maybe use a Starbirth without having to commit the whole shady dealings to it, but I don't think that has happened for Isaiah here. I see an Ultra Ball.
Yeah, there is an Ultra Ball in hand.
Scoop up net as well.
Net. Yeah, the Manaphy and Dunsparce not very relevant in this matchup. Could be good pieces, but I think what Isaiah is really just debating of, do I just try and put 2 relevant pieces in my hand? Because if you leave just one out, like you can in a lot of situations, the card just gets max jammered away. But by doing this in combination with Starbirth, can actually, it looks like, get off the attack this turn. Finding the Sobble, has the Air Balloon, has the double turbo energy, and we'll be seeing a Trinity Nova deal 180 damage to this Arceus V-Star, and also importantly, accelerating 3 basic energy out of the deck.
Yeah, so we kind of see Isaiah kind of get rewarded on both ends there, committing the first shady dealings to the Marnie rather than just taking the trading court to open himself up to Starbirth, but drawing it out for the trading court kind of, I don't know if you really want to call it high risk because Marnie has its own uses, and that play you described of Isaiah just kind of chilling for this turn is very real, but very rewarded here as we see, as you said, Trinity Nova, 3 energy on the Arceus V. And, Isaiah kind of right back at it here. Ultra Ball of Piper's own, it looks like, as we move to her turn. It looks like it's going to be eyeing down that Crobat now, perhaps, now that the path to the peak is gone.
Yeah, Crobat is great to fill the hand back up. Looks like 2 cards in hand, drawing 4. We mentioned a Dark-type Pokemon that kind of just sits and it can also be an attacker as well, but it is mainly there for that Dark asset ability.
Yeah, so Crobat is the choice here. Looks like 2 other cards in hand, I believe. So Crobat going to draw quite a few here. Not sure if any of those can be burned. It looks like Crobat might just hit the bench immediately. Looks like 2 double turbo energy. So yeah, just attaching to the active Arceus here before using the dark asset.
Looks like just wants to draw as many cards as possible. Trying to see what was found. It looks like potentially a Piers. Yeah, Piers at the end of the hand, so that can guarantee the Malamar VMAX out of the deck. There are a lot of different options. Even has Boss's Orders to potentially chase down this damaged Arceus before it's healed with something like Sharon's Care. However, there are a lot of open lines for Piper at this position, and we are going to see that exact play, targeting down the Arceus V. Understands that we are just going to see a quick knockout. Trinity Nova accelerating, looks like just the last potential remaining dark energy in the deck. Piper going for 7 dark and 4 double turbos, so most lists we see average around 10 energy total. Sometimes usually see like 6 water, 2 double turbo, and like a water energy for the Inteleon. But this list playing 11 energy, definitely on the higher end as Malamar VMAX needs 3 energy to attack. All of your attackers are essentially 3 energy attackers.
And we do see Piper went to attach to the Malamar off of the Arceus V, but then, or Arceus V-Star rather, but then went, oh, actually I should spread my energy out a bit, which is another great kind of strategy element there of just, Piper's in a position where she still needs to attach another energy to either of these Pokemon, but they're kind of protected now from something like a Boss's Orders or any other kind of disruption by each having 2 energy, and she's giving herself a lot more options there in the future as well. As we pass back to Isaiah, it looks like we're going to see the level ball the Ultra Ball was that for the Sobble. Mm-hmm. Here is the Drizzile, shady dealings happening. So it's going to take the Marnie.
Yeah, Marnie can be an excellent disruption here, can slow Piper down a little bit. It makes more sense as I'm looking at this play why the double turbo energy got attached last turn. It's because Hyper Potion is in the deck to discard the attachment for a turn and heal this Arceus off. But unable to find that piece means that Isaiah has lined up a knockout this turn, and that in combination with Marnie to draw some more cards, disrupt the hand a little bit, as we do see there's the Hyper Potion. And this hand is actually looking very lackluster for Piper, has not a lot of pieces to work with whatsoever.
Yeah, that's Hyper Potion is not a card that we see in most of these lists, but very heads up play from Piper there, just making a play that is definitely non-standard, but then you realize, oh yeah, they have this card. She has this card that most people don't, and it just completely change everything. We see a Pal Pad there. Is that Marnie Boss's Orders for Isaiah? So having another copy of that Disruptive Supporter in Marnie, and then the Boss's Orders right back into the deck as well.
A great recovery card to put some of those supporter pieces back into the deck. Has that energy on the Drizzile as well, can act as a nice pivoting option later on in the game. Have to imagine you're looking for B-Drill, but unfortunately for Isaiah, the fact that they're the top 2 prize cards can be a big deal. But if Piper keeps drawing like this, it may not even make a difference that B-Drill is away in the prize cards.
Yeah, let's see what the top deck is. It looks like 2 Hyper Potions, Big Charm Boss's Orders, if my read on the hand is correct here. Looks like one of those are the Fan of Waves, actually.
It looks like finds the Evolution Incense, so can grab out an Arceus V-Star at this point, but V-Star power has already been used, so there is no opportunity for that to work out. Oh, but the Training Court actually is in play, yeah, so the Training Court coming in clutch, as well as the Fan of Waves to put the double turbo energy to the bottom of the deck. This is a big-time combination of cards for Piper.
Yeah, that Evolution Sense is actually huge there. Just finding the evolution there, and then in combination with that Training Court, just really a lackluster hand that just turned into a lot of damage and some energy disruption as well.
So we will see the draw for turn. Has another double turbo energy to attach to this Arceus, so we'll have the ability to continue to attack. Also has the ability to maybe find something like the Sharon's Care out of the deck for later on, eyeing up an Inteleon with this Drizzile Shady Dealings, the sort of combination we see a lot of the times where Drizzile finds Inteleon and you essentially turn your Drizzile that would find 1 trainer card into an Inteleon that finds 2.
Absolutely. So it looks like we are going to find that Evolution Incense for the Inteleon. Here's the Shady Dealings, just as you described. It looks like Choice Belt is being eyed up. Again, Isaiah taking a moment to consult the hand, make sure this choice is right as we enter the late stages of this game. Boss's Order, Ultra Ball are the choices here. We'll have to see what the next play is from Isaiah. It looks like it is an Ultra Ball discarding. I believe that's Energy Search and Arceus V. Finding the second V-Star going to be very important to the strategy here. It feels like having that second backup attacker.
Yeah, could potentially maybe line up some sort of a knockout onto one of these bench Pokemon. Already has the Boss's Orders in hand. There's the Zigzagoon that can go ahead and place 10 damage onto that Malabar. And now with 200 HP remaining, it is in range for a Boss's Orders knockout. I think that is the exact play Isaiah is lining up. The double turbo energy to retreat this Arceus. Has the fresh Arceus V-Star. The Boss's Orders in hand to bring it up to the active spot. Isaiah has found a way, despite all the odds, all the cards being prized, the 2 B-Drill that can be so impactful in this matchup, to start to turn things around, going down to just 2 prize cards and accelerating some more energy out of the deck as well.
Yeah, and that could be one of the downsides of Piper's kind of the deck here, playing things, lower HP Pokemon like Malamar, playing that Crobat, which is a Pokemon you kind of have to play onto the bench if you're going to play it in your deck and you really want to just sit there. Is now Isaiah sitting just with 2 prize cards remaining, and any really Boss's Orders played. Just a lot of options here to seal the game and maybe perhaps another regional top 8 berth for Isaiah.
Pierre's a supporter of choice as well. Not able to gust anything up like that damaged Arceus or find any other pieces. Can at least get down a double turbo energy, as well as I believe, I'm trying to see exactly what that piece is. Some of these alternate arts.
Looks like it's the Hoopa.
Oh, okay, nice. Looks like has access to the Hoopa at least as another attacker to power up. One of your attacking Pokemon that can act as a Psychic type and a Dark type Pokemon, having very nice weakness as well. We see extra energies be attached to this Arceus. Piper knows that Hyper Potion play is a good option as well. And a smart play there to Big Charm the Crobat. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult to knock out later on in the game. Isaiah is playing a slightly different list that we've seen from some of these other players. Some of these players are opting to play the quick shooting Inteleon. Other players are not. Isaiah is only running one Inteleon, which is that one Sword and Shield Inteleon you see him play. So has no other access to Inteleon lines, not playing a thicker line whatsoever in that sense. So this is the reliance of just shady dealings to find your trainers, not going to be able to play with the damage too much over on Piper's side.
Yeah, also the only damage modifier there, I mean, I guess the Choice Belt, but also the Galarian Zigzagoon and some Scoop Up Net combinations. I don't know how many Scoop Up Nets Isaiah has used off the top of my head, but going to be a lot harder than maybe a lot of the other traditional Arceus and Inteleon decks for him to find the knockout here. But let's see what he can put together with only 2 prize cards remaining. We're going to see a Capture Energy attached to that Arceus V-Star, and then just a Trinity Nova for the full 200.
And Piper already has the Hyper Potion in hand. It's not knowledge Isaiah has quite yet, but the fact that this Arceus would still be remaining with 80 hit points or 80 damage on it means that the damage healing really isn't too relevant, because it would still be knocked out by a Trinity Nova. So this is where Piper's got to figure something out in this position. Has an energy attachment potentially to the Crobat. No, has it for the Arceus at least, but this hand is not looking too solid. I mean, Boss's orders up on the Zigzagoon. Have to imagine this is maybe some sort of play to buy some time. Just going to go ahead and pass things over.
Oh, wow.
And I believe Isaiah has a way to pivot out of the active potentially. Maybe not having any energy cards or scoop-up nets left. That could be detrimental, but I have to imagine there is still one more double turbo because it was put to the bottom of the deck. But this hand is not looking too strong, especially because there is no other Inteleon option to evolve these Drizziles up.
Yeah, normally I think you just kind of slam the Ultra Ball for the Inteleon and find a way to retreat, but it's not gonna happen. It looks like Isaiah's gonna be relying on Marnie here. Not sure of exactly what's remaining in the deck, but you gotta believe it's gotta be pretty easy to move this Galarian Zigzagoon. So let's see, 5 cards. I do see the double turbo.
Yeah, there's double turbo.
And that is going to be the game and the match. Isaiah Bradner advancing to 10-1-2 here in Indianapolis. Here you can see flipping over the B-drill, showing that they're both prized here. Congratulations to both of these players, but especially Isaiah Bradner, 10-1-2, just a 1 win away from maybe even some draw situations away from locking up a top 8. 2 kind of the lesser played decks prior to this weekend, but of course that B-drill deck is very popular now, and just really well played, really well navigated by Isaiah, especially in that second game.
Absolutely. Having no access to either B-drill is usually some players would say, maybe do I scoop it up and go to the next game or try to figure something out, but Isaiah really putting the cogs up in the brain, right, to work, figuring out what to do. Was able to put together a very nice strategy with the Arceus. I think part of that also had something to do with Piper's pretty lackluster draws and the ability to draw cards in that situation. Was pretty unfortunate and rough, but at the end of the day, it's kind of what happens. These decks can only function as perfectly as possible for so many rounds. You put so much variance into the mix, so many different draws, combination of cards, disrupting factors like Marnie, and things can just get very complicated. But still not to discredit, excellent play by both players, but Isaiah's going to take it, move to 10-1-2, essentially 3 match points from being away from that bubble, 1 win, and maybe an intentional draw or some ties somewhere here and there.
Yeah, and speaking of Isaiah, we are going to have a word with him. Isaiah Bradner, legendary